Hello, welcome to Business Insight, where we provide you with insights on business and economic matters. Staying informed on happenings in the business circle and understanding the issues too means you get to make informed decisions about that business of yours. Starting us on the show today is a roundup of trending stories in the business world. I am Blessing A.G. Thanks for staying tuned. Getting right into the news, Nigeria is where we begin. Nigeria has halted goods going to Niger and put customs on alert. The Nigerian government has said that cargo going to Niger Republic cannot pass through its borders anymore. Officers of the Nigeria Customs Service (NCS) have been directed to be on alert at the land borders. The Customs Controller General Adewale Adeniyi gave the order when he visited the NCS command in Ogun State. He said the customs officers need to be on alert not only at the Niger Republic border, but also at the borders with Benin Republic and Cameroon. Speaking further, Adeniyi asked the officers to halt from crossing through Nigeria anything that is meant to go to Niger Republic. This decision was made by President Bola Tinubu as a way to show disapproval of the military leaders in Niger. Still in Nigeria, the Lagos chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations (NIPR) has announced that the 10th Lagos Public Relations Stakeholders Conference will address employment creation and nation building. Commenting on the conference, the chairperson, Lagos NIPR, Mrs. Comfort Obot Nwankwo, stated that the theme for this edition, Stakeholders' Conversations on Employment Creation and Nation Building, will focus on possible solutions to the increasing rate of unemployment and other similar issues. In the same vein, the conference coordinator, Mr. Olabamiji Adeleye, stated that the role of government and institutions in ensuring the reduction in the rate of unemployment, tackling child labor, accelerating decent work and economic growth by 2030 based by the UN's Sustainable Development Goals is of utmost importance. And we move now to France, as the Air France has stopped flights to and from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso and Bamako, Mali until August 11 following Niger junta's closure of its airspace on Sunday. According to the carrier spokesperson, Air France expects longer flight times with sub-Saharan hub airports, stating that flights from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris and Accra, Ghana are expected to fly non-stop. And so we move now to the Middle East as part of a comprehensive initiative aimed at improving users' experiences, ensuring high-quality charging and data transfer technology, and promoting environmental stability through the reduction of electronic waste. The Saudi Arabia government has announced that effective from January 1, 2025, it would adopt USB Type-C as the only charging port for mobile phones and various electronic gadgets in the country. The Saudi Arabia Standards, Meteorology and Quality Organization, in partnership with Communications, Space and Technology Commission, have together unveiled the compulsory phases of this important transition. The initiative is not only about users' experiences, but also to avoid adding extra costs on customers, thereby ensuring a seamless transition. According to reports, the implementation of this initiative is expected to take place in 2 district phases, with the first phase to begin in January 1, 2025, comprising a wide range of devices such as mobile phones, digital cameras, tablets, among others, while the second phase encompassing laptops will begin April 1, 2026. Away from the Middle East, Tesla has appointed head accounting Valivav Tanija as the new Chief Finance Officer (CFO), following the resignation of former Finance Chief Zachary Kehon. Tesla Finance Chief Zachary Kehon stepped down, surprising analysts who considered the 13-year veteran as a possible successor to CEO Elon Musk, and sending the shares of the electric automaker down 3.5% on Monday. Kekon is expected to stay until the end of the year to help with a smooth transition, although Tesla did not give any particular reason for his departure. And out of the U.S., the Barbie movie by the end of this week will have earned an incredible $1.03 billion from people buying tickets to watch it in theaters all over the world. This exciting news was announced in a recent statement. President, Domestic Distribution, Warner Bros. Jeff Goodstein said Greta Gerwig, director of the movie, made it very special and fun. Goodstein also pointed out that many people have been enjoying the movie so much that they have been watching it more than once. Meanwhile, some other movies made by women have also earned more than $1 billion, but those movies had multiple directors. For example, the Frozen movies were a big hit and made a lot of money, over $1.4 billion. These movies were directed by Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck. Following the lift of tariffs on barley by China, the Australian government is hopeful that the trade disagreement between both countries is coming to an end. Speaking on the development, the Australian Trade Minister Don Farrell believes China would soon lift similar bans on Australian wines to China. The Canberra government is challenging China's tariff of up to 212% of Australian wines at the World Trade Organization. And now let's move to the stock market report, starting with the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now, at the end of the first weekday of trading, which is Monday, at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 333,224,000 shares in 694,000 Ds, corresponding to a market value of over 3.8 billion were traded when compared with the previous trading day, which was Friday, August 4. Now, Monday's data shows 8% decline in volume, 30% decline in turnover, but 4% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is put at 35.6 trillion naira. At the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the first weekday of trading on the Nairobi Securities Exchange (NSE) had a total of 6,710,400 shares in 976 deals, corresponding to a market value of 122,368,393. These were traded. Comparing with the previous day, which is Friday, August 4, Monday's data shows 116% improvement in volume, 278% improvement in turnover, and 20% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nairobi Securities Exchange is put at over 1.66 trillion. And now to commodities. Wheat, for wheat prices, gold, silver, and crude. Let's see. All right, now let's move to what the Naira currently exchanges at the global market. Now, for the dollar, the Naira exchanges at 768 Naira to the US dollar. For pounds, it exchanges at 982 Naira. For euro, it exchanges at 845 Naira. And for the Australian dollars, it exchanges at 504 Naira. Now, it's a wrap on the news segment on Business Insight. Let's take a quick break. When we return, to the time to sit with the analysts and extra issues on the news. Stay tuned. All right, thank you for staying tuned. Jimo Latif, who is a stockbroker and finance expert, is here for us to look at some of the issues that were on the news. Now, let's begin with the stock market report. Good morning, Jimo.
Good morning, as usual. Good morning.
Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
All right, so we've seen that at the end of yesterday's trading at the Nigerian stock market, there was a decline of 8% in volume, and there was also a 36% decline in turnover, but there was 4% improvement in this. But market capitalization is still at 35 trillion naira.
Well, let me simply say that globally, market has been very, very hot, and we are seeing a lot of bargaining hunting in the market for now, but at least it rebounded. I think it's about 21 basis points, and we see that in such a way that it gives people hope, because people are still watching the market, and a lot of rebalancing of portfolio, because the quarter result just came out. People are looking at the direction to put their money, which is for the wise investors. Actually, need to look very closely and look at the fundamental and both the technical analysis to be able to know which direction you want to put your investment on. And all this is because globally, generally, like I just said, people have been very wary and watchful of what they put, and they love bargaining on to be able to don't just look at the market and say, okay, market is moving. No, you need to very clearly assess the company you want to invest on to be to know whether in the short run you need to put your money or in the long run. It depends on the investor investor profile, investor preference, sort of. So those are the things we look at. But market is still rebounding, and this is the sentiment we expect it to go on for a while.
Okay, so let's still dwell in Africa, but this time we're going to the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now, for Monday, it seemed like they ticked all the boxes on the positive side, because at the end of trading on Monday at the Nairobi market, the data showed that there was 116% improvement in volume, 278% improvement in turnover, and 20% improvement in deals.
Well, in the boss of NES, Nairobi Exchange Market, like what's happened is actually crossed over to whole, even the world. So the same things happening. Although we see some big wigs in terms of a company like a Safaricom, like EHA Guards, Car and General, Onga Group, Sami Africa, I stand big holding that are really making impact on the market. But remember, there are some financial policies that may affect on the long run in terms of the intervention in the FX market by the CBN, by the CBK, Central Bank of Kenya, in terms of where they actually a bit push shock absorber, which is they may face it on the long run because you don't intervene in an FX market like that, because that it may impact on the future flow or the fund, because if you allow market to let it fight itself, allow it for free. What I mean here is that you don't just intervene in the market like that, and they have done that to be able to improve their locally product. But meanwhile, it has effects because you have already interfered in the market, so the market will react to that. And look at the Bata. Bata is coming into the market. I think they just improved this by almost $25 billion or $1 million something into the market of Kenya. These are the positive side of the market that we're expecting. Apart from the free fall of the Kenya shillings that's coming up, so the Safaricom exchange too. It has the dominance in the market about I think about 40.6 in the Kenya's market. And now the thing is, because these are fundamental, you need to look at. For the fact that some are gaining, look at the big picture.
Okay, so it's beyond just the
although
gains,
the market look good,
from
what we see a lot of good data in terms of volume, in terms of trade, in terms of value, but what actually, in terms of what we're seeing, the fundamental that may speak to that market in a very short time may not be, except drastic action will be made. Thank you.
Indeed, the stock market can be volatile. But let's move on to matters surrounding the Niger economy. Now, since the military takeover in Niger Republic, several countries have, in one way or the other, been registering their displeasure at the situation. ECOWAS is not taking it easy with Niger over this. Nigeria, too, has taken a stand by directing that the customs be on alert that nothing that is going to Niger should go through Nigerian borders. And Nigeria is not left alone in that. We also have Air France, which has responded to Niger airspace closure by suspending flights to some African countries. How will this impact Niger's economy?
Well, first of all, let me say what actually happened, what caused this particular. I want to start from that.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, masses are becoming very they have this unpleasant mind of mass against the political in terms of corruption or all those things. Then the military take advantage to come in, but that is the best solution to it. But in terms of what is going to, because already they're one of the poorest countries in Africa. Now, you are now giving, and remember, the big countries are coming into play here. The US of this world, the France and all that. And I can see the SS are coming from another angle.
Okay, Russia.
So if you start seeing this, because Nigerian, what we have done in terms of regulating our transaction with them is not only because they're already poor. It's going to inflict a lot of problem on the masses in terms of the currency, in terms of the food supply, in terms of in Nigeria. Although if you look at what is happening in Niger, it's actually a pitiable issue because already most of them wanted to even because they have been colonized by France. As you can see some other man like Burkina Faso, Mali of this world moving away from the France colonies. And if they know all these things, the foreign colonials still has interest in this kind of business, and they don't want anything that will impact on their income. They won't like it. So definitely they will do everything to make sure they bring Niger to its kneel. In other words, what I'm saying is that in terms of the democratic effect of the youth, it has an economic effect on the masses. So they won't be able to do a lot of things. In terms of what we've seen so far, Nigeria has started, France has come in to give some their own restrictions. This thing has a because you're not increasing the burden of the poverty on them, and this may affect it. In fact, you can't even study abroad. If you are studying abroad, that may know that there's a lot of things that's going to happen that will affect, that will impact on the local economic of Niger.
So if it happens that maybe after a while the military junta sees that it cannot sustain hold on government in Niger and they want to relinquish power to the democratic elected government in Niger, would going back to repairing the diplomatic relations with other countries be an easy process? And is it going to be easy restoring the economy? How's it going to be like?
The problem I've been having with the military junta is that they will say they will do this when they come in, but eventually they will do another one. Even if they eventually transit to, they will still be behind. Most of them will turn to a democratically elected. The military, they will just remove the uniform and turn to a democratic kind of life. And these are the things we are having problem. There's no problem if the junta decides to say, okay, they want to relinquish the power, they want to give power back to the owner. There's a process to it. There's nothing so big that all they need to let us. I mean, for instance, the ousted president is still alive, although our land has been put on house arrest. They can reset the guy, give a roadmap, guide him on what the way they want to transit power back. If they don't want the guy, maybe if the former president is having a problem of corruption, okay, you want to do the right thing, give the roadmap of how you want to transit the government. I don't think it's a rocket science anyway.
Okay, it's not going to be an immediate thing, even though it's not rocket science, okay? All right, thank you very much, Jimolete, for being with us on the show today. Tomorrow will be another time for us to have our analysts look at some of the issues of the news. We're going to break right now, and then we'll be looking at something that is very crucial to every business, that another sector or another type of business supplies. That will be after this break. Just stay tuned. Many thanks for being there. This is Business Insight in case you're just joining. And we began a series yesterday looking at the role of small businesses in the economy. So today we're looking at one type of business, although there are several others under this type of business that provides something that is very key. Knowledge, they say, is power. For you to have knowledge, you need to be supplied the right kind of information. And so we'll be looking at information business. What is information business? What does it do for you? In what ways can you have access to these or use information, and how do they make money from it? Okay, this is what we'll be looking at. We have joining us via Zoom Emmanuel Olorufemi, who is a research manager. You'll be wondering, what is a research manager doing? Well, like I said, there are different types of businesses under information business, and so some of them are into web hosting. You have companies that are into web hosting, you have research companies, and several others. So for the purpose of today's discussion, we're looking at research business under information business. I know you get it. All right, so hello Emmanuel, thank you for joining us. Emmanuel, good morning. Please unmute yourself. Emmanuel, you're
Good morning,
muted. I can't
Blessing.
hear you except you unmute yourself so we can have the conversation.
I've
Okay,
done
good
that.
morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And you?
Okay. All right. So when I introduced you as a research manager, I know a lot of persons will be wondering, research, is that a business? Well, first of all, let's begin with the basis. How would you describe information business?
All right. Research is actually a business because everything revolves around research if you want to start your business. Information business is basically a system that collects and gather data for objectivity of business goals. Now, information is always necessary from the conception of the idea to the implementation. Now, if I'm about to start a business, let's say a coconut plantation as a farmer, what are the indices I'm going to look for? Basically, I'm going to look for information, data that relate to production, that relate to supply, that relate to sales. Now, the gathering of such information is what informs my business decision. I haven't done that. The next thing for me is to implement what I've gathered. So business information is basically the process of gathering data and analyzing them, presenting them, then making use of them for proper business that we want to engage in. Thank you.
All right, Emmanuel is Research Manager, Africa Development Studies Center. Before I joined you, Emmanuel, I talked about some other type of businesses that you can find under the information business sector. I mentioned web hosting. Are there others?
Yeah, there are others.
Okay, can you tell us some of them?
There are others. The main one is data services.
Okay.
Now, in the global system, there are emerging careers and discipline. Data services is what combine every source of information, put them in a database, analyze them, share the infos inside it, and share it with business world, government, or NGO. Now, if data services is what has been used by the big countries, the Western country, to determine how they forecast their business endeavors. Another one is the research itself. The process of researching, it entails gathering of data, information, and determining how to use them in a valid ways. So there are many ways in this emerging economy, for example, that business information has been there for people to explore.
All right, so how does engaging in research become business?
Okay, engaging in research is a business. I will take you back to COVID that just happened, the pandemic in 2020. When the outbreak broke, we are all locked down. And the pharmaceutical company continued from where some researchers have stopped over the years. And they came up with a vaccine. And when the economy of vaccine was eating the Africans, especially the sub-Saharan African, most of our politicians were shouting to the extent that they gave us expired vaccine. Now, the process of getting the cure for coronavirus in 2020 and early 2021 was based on research. And you can't deny it. The pharmaceutical company, most of them are the most valuable companies in the world. But Their trial process and what have you involve critical way of researching. Therefore, in a major way, there is no way that you conduct research that you won't make money from it if it is a solution-oriented research.
Solution-oriented research. All right, so who are the potential clients or customers to a researcher or to a research firm?
Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone is a customer. The product we are wearing today, our fabrics are product of research. The hair you are putting on is a product of research. Whatever we are using is a product of research. Research does not need to be complex. The process of food making is a research. How did you come about, for example, in the northern Africa, in the northern Nigeria? How did you come about okpa in the eastern Nigeria? Now you will discover that it's a process that they try this way, they put this one together, and it gave an outcome that is usable. Now, basically, we have three clients as a researcher: governments, businesses, and individuals. And I will take them one after the other. For a government to work in a proper way, to deliver on its mandate, it has to engage in research. Every political party has a wing. A serious political party has a wing of research department. Now, but in most of Africa, like Nigeria, most of our major parties, they don't even have a research department, so to say. If they are researching, it's basically on voters, not on the things that will drive the country to developmental pathways. Now, having said that, government engage in research, engage the services of researchers. That's why government is involved in the funding of universities and other education institutions. Now, CPM, for example, we all know that we have problem with our foreign exchange in terms of our foreign reserves, our forex, our inflation, the way it's skyrocketing. Now, is the independent research, though they have their own research department, but they do engage independent researchers to, for example, review our pricing system. One of the problems we are having as a nation is the fact that our pricing system and the metrics that we use as base for determining our inflation rate, for example, is poor. They are archaic, they are out of date. So we need to do more research in that angle, for example. So an average researcher who is independent of his opinion and has control of what he wants to do, most of the time, I am engaged, collaborate with government institutions to bring solution to prevailing problem. Secondly, businesses. Any serious startup, for example, we do a visibility study, market survey, and from those documents, you can now have your business plan. All these are process of research and data gathering. What are the markets out there? Who are the products? How much have we made? People who are our competitors. Those information need to be gathered, organized, analyzed, and presented. And the best people that can do it are researchers. So one of the major clients that a researcher has is business people. An established business too, do annual review of their processes. It can even be their information management system. It can be in terms of their motivation for their workers. It can be any measure that they face challenge based on organizational goal. And personally, if you want to, we know people are japaring every day now. To use that word, people are traveling abroad for education. If you want to go to US to study, for example, to the United Kingdom to study, You have your smartphone, you have your laptop and the internet. The first thing to do is to sit down, set the base for the kind of university you want to study, and what are the things you want to, what are your own career goals and academic goals. Based on that, those are the elements of research. Some people can't do it by themselves. They engage researchers to do it for them. So in a tripartite form, both governments, businesses, and personal individuals engage the services of an average researcher.
All right, when you were talking earlier, you mentioned that as long as the research is solution-oriented, then you will have a market for it. So it then means that some researchers are challenged, and so they cannot have a solution-oriented research. What are the challenges with research?
Thank you. There are a lot of challenges, more on solution-oriented. If you look at Nigeria today, we have a myriad of issues to handle, from economy to governance, to election, to even some personal lifestyle that we have, health issues, what have you. Now that are particular to us as a nation. It's general, it's a global common though, but some issues are always particular because the framework that every country works with differs in the long run. Now, the issue I was presenting at TED Fund last 2 years, and I told the ES then, Professor Bogoro, research for a while. Now, TED Fund is a government institution that funds university researches in Nigeria. Now, we have billions. In fact, as at last year, when I checked, it was in hundreds of billions that has been expanded as grants for research to Nigerian universities. Now tell me, what are the outcomes? Probably most of them, they are not competitive enough. Now, a solution-oriented outcome of a research determines how marketable that research will be. If you have an outcome that can only, it has limitation. There's a limit to how you can scale that outcome. Then if you have a global outcome that can go to Western world, Eastern world, and every part of this world and compete genuinely, then you have a global market. Now, most of the challenges, I won't base it like many people will say, funding. I don't think research is not basically funding, though we have countries like US stopping the research and the development spending, followed by China, followed by Germany and Israel. But notwithstanding, the funding we are getting for Nigeria is low. But that is not the core issue. The core issue is interest. Most of our researchers, most of our academics in the Nigerian university, for example, they were just living for survival. They were not doing it out of passion. Because if you have a grant and you have an outcome that the outcome cannot even withstand the international journal, for example, the standard of international journal for such a researcher. So, and that's the productivity. Now, the second one, obviously, is funding. We know that funding is an issue. The R&D expenditure of Nigeria per percentage is 0.13 annual. So, of our GDP, that is to say, we are spending less than $100 million on our research, which is far, far too low for our population and for the need in this country. So those two things are the major things that I can talk about. But before you even tackle the issue of funding, first thing first, we need to tackle the way we conduct our research. Research needs to be designed for solution, not just for publication. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So you just touched on one area that I want us to expatiate on. You talked about some persons just doing research maybe because it's work, not because they have a passion for it. And sometimes the result of the research is not the same standard when you compare to what you would get in other climes. So ethical considerations when doing research or when in the research business, how is it? What are the ethical considerations?
Okay, thank you. Research in business is the same thing in other line of research. Now, but the difference is that is more profit oriented. Now, research in business has to be done in a proper way. That is, the process of gathering the data has to be validated and reliable. The methodology used has to be credible. The presentation and the writing has to be clear. Those are the things that match up with the standard of research for business. And I will take it further on data. You know, the major problem that we have in research most of the time all over the world is data. And for Nigeria, United Nations published a paper like 3 years ago, as 2020, and said specifically that Nigeria is data deprived. Now, because of this dearth of data, many people make up data. That is to say, instead of them to use, let's say, 1,000 metrics to measure a variable, they would rather go for 100 and make up the 900. And the validity of that research is already cancelled out because of the way the research was conducted. Now, the validity of what you are presenting as a researcher at the end of the day for a business that comes and consult with you has to be strong, reliable, and credible. Those are the best practices that should be engaged in. And there is no way, if there are no good environment for this thing to thrive. The research is 70% based on attitude, not most of the time on knowledge. We have people that cut corner in research more than even in the government institutions. We have people that buy data and plagiarize data from other institutions. So plagiarism has to be dealt with. Data, the process of collecting data and verifying them and processing them has to be very correct too. So the ethical behavior of a researcher is well spelled out in most of the journal standards. There is no way a researcher, I'm in Abuja and I want to research in Adamawa, I want to collect data in Adamawa, and I can't verify my source to the extent that what is giving me there is written, not make up. That is not ethical. A business that engages a researcher should be able to verify, and the researcher himself or herself has to prove the validity. That's the requirement, has to prove the validity of the source
the
of
researcher
data
on his own has to
is
ensure.
presenting.
Hello, Emmanuel. The researcher has to ensure that he adheres to the ethical standard. But the client or customer, how can the client or customer measure the quality of work? What are the metrics? How do you know that this is standard work?
Now, yeah, the rule of engagement. If as a company, you are engaging a researcher, the first thing has to be done. Your non-disclosure agreement should entail what you want in a specific manner. And let's do this as example. I went for Kano 2 years ago for a survey, market survey, on egg production in the Kano metropolis. The indicators that needed, the number of people that need to be interviewed, everything was well spelled out before we commenced that assignment. What am I trying to say? If you are to use a researcher for your business, it might be as small as gathering your customer details from where you want to target next. You have to get the evidence. There are apps these days that collect data. One of the ways is to use them. You can be in your office and the data connector over there, the moment they are entering it, the geophysics of that area is being captured. The data they are updating, you can see it right in your office. That is the best way to monitor. That is to say, the best way to monitor our research process is technology at the end of the day, because technology has helped us a lot in monitoring data gathering from other institutions.
Okay, so what is the future of information business like, particularly in Nigeria?
Oh, is an emerging, globally, information business is an emerging field, both in the academic and in the business world. Now, we in Nigeria, we are still somewhat far behind, but we have a lot of data to put out there. You can see Meta and X, that is Twitter, having issue over data, over plagiarism, kind of the other time. Now, what they're actually fighting for, it goes beyond tweeting. It goes beyond, you are taking my clients. No, it is data. Everything revolves around data. That is information. I prefer to use the word data now than information, because the measurement of progress and retrogression is basically on what we have as information. If your business needs to grow, you have to know everything, virtually everything that will make it to grow. And at the same time, you should know what will make it to fail. So you measure both sides of the coin, and you can decide that you are staying on this path for proper growth and development. Now, the future of data services, if I can use that term, which is more preferable because it captures every side of engagement. Now, is big. The cloud service system has a role to play, and it's high time the private institutions and private companies begin to synthesize their information within their companies, within their company, and making the use of the infos thereof. Because everything, your marketing strategy, your sales strategy, your employment, your human resources strategies, everything, operation, strategy, everything that you can think of revolves on those data that you've collected. If your company has been existing for 10 years, for example, you should be able to have a database for everyone that has worked with you, not just their name this time around. You should be able to have their roles. You should be able to review their performance. You should be able to know their attitude. You should be able to know their emotional standards, or intelligence rather, so that when you are coming to employ someone else or some other time, you'll be well informed within your system that this information on my human resources database, I will avoid this kind of people. I'm going to engage this kind of people. So it will be a straightforward thinking when you are in an interview room with any applicant. So that is how, from the as small as companies to the nation to global system, the data service is a huge market. And like,
okay,
big
quickly, let's look at trends.
Are leveraging on this. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at trends. Are there trends that are being practiced or changing the data, as you call it, data services sector that Nigerian industry needs to catch up with? Those who are into data services in Nigeria, are there particular trends that perhaps we have not started implementing that we need to catch up with?
Thank you. Data services are services of organizing data, presenting them, and publishing them.
Okay.
And they are for money. They are not for everyone.
In doing this, are there trends that have changed the way and manner the business is done that we need to catch up with in Nigeria?
Yes, there are trends that have changed. The big multinational company, the big corporation, local and international, I mean, they are leveraging on these new trends. The cloud service, an average corporation, for example.
Okay, we just have a minute. Can you, in 1 minute, just let us know some of the trends?
Okay, the trend is the technology that's changing the data service sector. The trend is that we use it for marketing, basically. You use it for human resource. You use it to project your financials. That is your profit, your cost, and what have you. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope we have more time for this discussion. But thank you very much, Emmanuel Olorufemi, Research Manager, African Development Studies Center, for providing us with great insight on the information business, or as he calls it, data services. And that's it on the show today. I'm Blessing Age. Tomorrow will be another time on Business Insights. Bye.